So this is part two. I've split it into two parts because the first part, doing this rabbit face, moving around, it covers most of what I need it to do. One of the things though that I would like to do is just add a little bit more detail or add a bit more sort of diversity to the movement. And what I mean by that is I want to be able to have his face turn. At the moment I'm not like totally enamored with these ears because they don't kind of turn as his face turns turns away from you, and these ears would kind of turn. So you would see this ear, you would see more of the inside of the ear, and this ear would see more of the back of the ear. And what I want to do is just create a composition that allows me to turn these ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an ear, I'm just going to copy it and just create a new composition. And in this composition, I'm just going to rename this first comp as main, so I know what I'm dealing with, and I'll go back to comp 2 and I'm going to rename that one to ear. So it's just easier to keep track of what's going on. I'm going to just paste that rabbit ear in here. So I'm going to take this rabbit ear, I'm just going to take the keys off it and straighten it up as well. Oops. Rather than delete it, let's just delete these keys off. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to rotate this ear around so it sticks up here. I'm going to use this for the basis of a like a new composition that's drawn by using like vector lines and fills and masks instead of using an image, and it will allow me to create a comp where I can rotate an ear. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to create a new solid layer in here, and I'm just going to make it semi-transparent by reducing the opacity to sort of like 30%. And I'm going to trace around the ear, but I'm not going to do a mask. So if I take this, I'm just going to follow the lines of the ear here, around there. Just going to press enter. Whoops. Oh, not press enter. Press escape just to select the arrow. I'm not going to complete this curve here. I'm going to leave that unbroken. Just leave it with a break in. I've just selected the arrow key there, or the arrow, just to deselect the curve. Just going to go back to the pen and just draw another curve, making sure they don't accidentally click on one of these things. If I do that, I'm going to join. I won't create another entirely separate curve. I will just create. All it'll do is add to the existing one. So I'm going to make sure it doesn't turn into this black arrow. Just going to click on there, create this new curve in here, and just create that curve there. So I've got my two masks here, or these two curves. And what I want to do is I want to create a effect whereby I want to create a black line that runs along these curves, because I want to create them as make them my new black lines. Eventually I'll get rid of this ear background, and I'll just use lines and fills. So I'm going to select this solid, I'm just going to rename it as ear lines, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to go to effect and generate and stroke. And there, hopefully what you'll see, if I turn off the old ear, you'll see that it's created a white line on one of the masks here, which is this one. If I go into the effects in the layer in the ear lines, you'll see stroke, and I've got a few different options here. So if I go into the path option, I can say, well, I can go to mask 1 or mask 2. But what I actually want to do is I want to go to have it apply to all masks, and to do that I can just go to all masks and click on just click on it, and it will mean that it will disregard a preference for whichever mask or whichever vector line I've created, and it'll just apply it to all of them. The other thing I can do is I can change the width of the line as well. So the brush size, if I just increase that, I'll take it to about 3. And the paint style I want to do is I want to do on transparent. Now on transparent, if I click on it, you'll see the page goes white here. This will become more apparent if I turn up the opacity of this layer, which is black. If I turn off the transparent, which is on original image, you'll see that I just have a black solid layer with white lines on it. Now if I change that from on original image, which is its default setting, to on transparent, you'll notice I just get white lines. And that's what we want, apart from the lines need to be black. So by clicking on the black color there, or the color picker, I can just move it to black, and they are created. So let's turn back on the ear again, so you can see I've copied those black lines. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create another mask as well, which will be white, so because that's the back of the ear. I'm going to call that ear back. And I'm going to do something similar, but this time instead of creating individual lines, I'm going to just dim down the opacity so I can see. I'm just going to temporarily move it in front of my black line so I can trace over them, and I've reduced the opacity to 37% just to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to create a full mask this time. Instead of a line, it's going to be a full mask, which is going to be a white mask, and that is so I can have a fill, so the black lines have got a white fill and a background, and it will make sense in a bit. So I'm going to turn that up to 100%, and I'm going to drop it behind my ear lines there. So now I have a vector version of that ear that I originally had. So if I turn on the original ear, turn it off, you'll see there's a now I've got a vector version. I'm going to delete that ear bit, the PNG, and it's going to leave me with my ear lines here and my ear back. And now I've only got 3 masks that I need to amend here to make a full turn. And what I want to do is use this as a pre-comp for controlling the turn of an ear, so I can rotate the ears around. So let's say that this is kind of half turned. So we'll say this is like 50% turn. So I'll put this in the middle of my timeline. I've got about a second timeline. It doesn't really matter how long, because I'm going to use this in a pre-comp. I'm going to open up my masks, and I'm going to key the masks in there. And what I want to do is have at this end of the timeline, I want the ear to be turned away from us, and at this end I want to have it turned fully towards us. So I'm just going to scroll to the end there, and I'm going to grab this middle line here, I'm going to pull it out and kind of create the shape of what the ear would look like if it was fully turned towards us. And what I'm going to do is going to merge these together, these 2 lines, and it will become clear as to what I'm doing, hopefully shortly. Okay, so now this is what it would look like if it was let's see, turning towards us, and then we want it to be turned away from us, so we'll be going to the other end of the timeline, turn that the other way, that way there, turn that to there, oops. So I'm just going to change that way. So the lines change, and it appears as though this edge of the ear goes from being turned one way, opening up, and then closing the other way, and it'll hopefully make sense when it's put together. So if I go to the ear back, now I'm going to have to change this back mask. Going to key the mask there, going to key it in the middle position as well. Oh, it's keyed there anyway. Let's have a look. Just going to make sure I get all these keys in the right place. I'll put a marker down so I know where the middle is. So now I'm going to key it. I'm just going to create keys in here. So the back matches on that side, and then on this side do the same thing. So you get the idea. So it looks kind of weird at the moment because it's just turning. You're just getting this line coming across here. So that's our ear. So if we go back to our original rabbit here, and I'm going to go to my project, and I'm going to take that ear, I'm going to drop it in somewhere just around where the ears were. So this is towards the bottom of the comp. That one there. There's my original, there's my ear. What I'm going to do actually is going to go back to this ear pre-comp, and I'm going to just move these to the center. I'm just going to reduce the size of this down so it's only like 100 by 300. It's just so that that ear fits in the middle. And that'll make it easier when I go back to main again. See, now that ear is, the bounding box for it is reduced in size, otherwise it would be enormous. Holding down Y, I'm going to grab the pivot and move it into position there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the ear over to here and rotate it to there. I'm also going to create a null, so a new null object. I'm just going to rename that ear control. And I'm going to add an expression control to it as well, so which would be a slider control. Just going to double click on the slider control with ear control selected, and it'll create this slider control in here. What I can do is rename that ear left slider, and click OK. And then with the ear pre-comp selected, I'm going to go Control Alt and T to create a time remap. Hold down Alt and click on the stopwatch icon, and then it will give me the expression. And I'm going to pick whip, grab the pick whip and drag it to the, it's going to open up that ear left slider. I'm going to drag it over that slider. So now this ear left slider controls the turning of the ear. It's very quick at the moment because I've got a value of 100, but I've got a very short comp that it's applied to, so I just need to do some tinkering to divide, go to the end of my expression. I'm going to just divide by 200 just so that I can move this slider a bit more. 200 is maybe a little bit too far. I'm going to divide by 100 so that I can move that slider without it running through the whole animation too fast, and that will turn the ear. See, it flips when it gets to the end, but that'll turn the ear there. So that's ear control. I'm going to rename that. What did I just do? No, I don't want to select children. I want to go, I'm going to call it, which ear was it? Just trying to think. It's the right ear. Ear, oh, I should rename that ear right slider, because that's the right ear. And I want to create another slider control. I'm going to call that ear left slider. Okay, I'm going to do a similar thing, so I'm going to grab in, I'm going to go to my project, bring in the ear again. I'm going to create another ear on this side. So just going to bring that pivot down, going to rotate it into place to there, drag it into position, and let me just see now. Just going to reduce these down because I've got a lot of stuff going on in here. Okay, so that needs to be named to right ear, and this is my left ear. Left ear. I'm going to just put these next to each other, and I'm also going to pair these to the back of the head. I'm going to delete my original ears as well. Take those off. So now I've got my new ears. I'm going to parent them to the head back, face back. There it is, face back. So now when it moves around, the ears travel with it. This one's still moving because I haven't applied the slider control to it yet. So I'll take the left ear, press select, Alt Control T, Alt, and click on the stopwatch. Now it exposes the expression. Open up my ear control, and now I want to drag it to the ear left slider. So left ear, take the pick whip from the expression in the time remap of the left ear and drag it over the slider of left ear slider, and that will create that there. And again, I needed to divide the effect at the end. I just need to do divide by 100, and that'll mean that the value doesn't go crazy. It doesn't flip through the entire animation just by sliding the controller a little bit. So I'm going to go to my effect controller. Now I've got two sliders which now independently control the ears and rotate them that way. So what I want to do is now control the ears and their rotation in relation to this full animation as it turns. So I'm going to, well, first of all, actually with this one I need to rotate, I need to flip the ear itself. So I need to, because it's not been flipped yet. If you remember before, I had to do a minus value on the y-axis in order to make it work properly, because otherwise it won't be a mirror image of that ear. So now that ear is looking correct. If I go back to my ear control, this one's in the middle. This is about in the middle, that's the default position, so drag this one in the middle there. I want to key both of those sliders, and now what I want to do is when I turn the face from there to there, I want this ear, the back of this ear, to be more exposed, so turning that way, and the inside of this ear to be more exposed on that way, so I'm going to turn that way. So when he now rotates, we get that effect of left and right. That'll probably make more sense when I do that. I can also do what I did before, which is to key the rotation and position and scale of both of those, because I'm going to have to make those adjustments that I did before. In fact, where did I put those? Yeah, I don't want to key those just on that bit. Keyed them a frame too early. Just pop those there. So I'm going to position, scale and rotation on the left ear and right ear. So I'm going to key them at the beginning, and then when it goes to there, I'm going to rotate them just as I did before. That one like that, that one like that. I'm going to scale this tip of this one down a bit, and so now when he turns his head, it's a bit extreme actually. Let's just take that rotation just a wee bit back. That's maybe a bit too far. So now when he turns, you can see more of that side of the back side of the ear on this one, and the front side of the ear on this side, or the inside of the ear, like that. And they rotate in sort of a more appropriate manner. When he tips his head back, what I'm probably going to have to do is rotate them again a little bit further and scale them both a little bit further as well. That way. In fact, I'm just checking to see. Oh yeah, they do go very squat, that's right. And then when he tips back, I'm just going to tip that there, like that. Take that right down. So now we can see the inside of the ear, and it rotates around. Maybe this one rotates a little bit too far. I'll go back to my controller, change that ear rotation just a little bit. But it just does give us that. It does give us that level of control and makes the ears just look a little bit more authentic as well. In fact, I can probably increase that a little bit there, like that. And then just tilt them a little bit like that, so it just looks a little bit more authentic. And what I've done with the other one is I've done an inside to the ear. So on my original, if I go back to the original one here, you can see it keeps dipping out in the preview, but I've done a little inside tuft of hair as well, which aids that, which aids the perception of it turning and being able to see the inside and the back of the ear as it turns. And